Hey there, if you're loving the tips so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and then click on the bell as well so you never miss out on more cool free tips coming your way. And also, would love to hear from you. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think or what you want to see next. I think one of the coolest takeaways from your brother being on Breakfast Club yesterday was that he shared the three M's, the
Yeah.
mindset,
Yeah.
the method, and then the motivation.
Hmm.
And, getting through the end of the year here, going into, the Thanksgiving holidays, the Christmas holidays,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We got to stay focused on, keeping the pedal to the metal, man, and just because this is, we're building in these 2 months for January, man, and February. If we slow down, don't expect to have some sort of a riveting January or February, right? We gotta keep the ball rolling. But you know what it comes down to, Steve, is like, so let's just unpack it just a little bit for everybody here. I don't want to go too long, but
Yeah.
one of the things that he said was that I think is so true is that a lot of our thought, we have, like, I think he said, like 12,000 to 30,000 thoughts a day or something crazy
It's
like that.
crazy. Yeah. Like
And most of it stems from our
95
subconscious,
percent of your thoughts are subconscious and automatic. And out
automatic.
of automatic, imagine like driving somewhere and then you're like, you get there and I'm like, how'd I get here?
How to
Because
get
you've
here?
driven it a
Yeah.
hundred times. So
You
they're
just
just
did it.
automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, automatic. You wake up, you have the same thoughts. But here's what was crazy: 95% of your thoughts are just subconscious, they're consistent, they're automatic. 80%, up to 80% of your automatic subconscious thoughts are negative.
Are negative. So your operating system, right?
Yeah.
Your operating system is, what was it, 95% automatic,
Yeah.
and 80% of your operating system in this automatic mode is negative, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's negative, so things that come externally to us, we're seeing a market report, we're seeing rates, we're seeing, whatever. A real estate agent said nobody showed up at my open house, right? And these sensory, stimuli that come in, trigger these automatic negative
Oh yeah.
thoughts out of our defunct operating system, right? Which can make us go, why do I even want to, I'm just going to cool
Why
off.
am I even going to show up today?
Why am I
Hey, why
going
am
to
I even
show?
going to make this call? You know what? I'm just a bother. They already got another lender,
There you
and it's
go.
like he talked about something I thought was super powerful too. He said, create a 3-day thought journal.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have the thoughts that come in, good and bad, just write them down.
Yeah.
Like the automatic stuff that we only realize, like, hey, I've tried that, it didn't work. Or here's one: if you're going to do it, if it's going to get done right, I got to do it. Well,
Right.
that's not true. It's a limiting belief that we believe in.
Right.
Hey, listen, man, that uh, you know what? I they don't like me. Here's one. All realtors are like that.
Right.
All clients come in like this.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna rate shop me. When I go to the open houses, man, there's no opportunity.
Nobody's going to
Like,
be there.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, hey, and listen, there's like, you know what? Nobody's gonna buy a house in November. We're getting into the holidays.
Mm.
Like, it's just mind-boggling when you start thinking about the negative things, and we don't even realize it, Frank. I think half of it is just being pre-programmed. You hear you're watching news, or you got the world is in a declining state. That's the truth.
Yeah.
And if you're not consciously pushing against, I'll never forget. I was sitting with my one of my dear friends. He's passed away, but he was a longtime mentor of mine, an older gentleman. And one day I was complaining, Frank. I was like, "Oh man, it's so tough." I'm like,
Mm.
"What?" And it was just I had a tough week, And it's
Mm.
like, and he mentored me for like literally 15 years of my business career before he passed away. Remarkable man. And I said, "Brother, why can't we just coast?" And I'll never forget, we were sitting at a barbecue restaurant. We used to meet every other week. And he said, because the world's like this.
Yeah.
Like you think you're on a level playing field, but every day, if you don't step to take a step up, you'll actually lose ground.
I just
And
want to
see,
point out, some of us might be listening and not see what Steve did. He held his
yeah,
arm in an upward angle, like it's
yeah, like a
walking up a
diagonal,
hill,
like you're
like a
going, yeah,
hill. Yeah.
yeah,
The
like a
world's
hill.
like this. It is. It's an uphill climb every single
It
day.
is.
Yeah.
Well, because
You can't
and
coast.
when he told me that, it was just like it was so interesting because it was like you think it's kind of like being at the beach. You get in the water, you start playing around, and you think, Well, I hadn't gone anywhere, but the current very slowly and quietly moves you
Mm,
down the shoreline. And
yeah.
if you've ever had like a tent where you had everybody and you're not paying attention and you're playing, and all of a sudden you're half a mile down the beach and you didn't
Right.
even know you moved.
Yeah.
And that's the way the world is. And I think that we've got to take a proactive approach to, like, here's what it is, Frank. You know what it is? My past experience is framing my future expectation. Hey,
Interesting.
why am I discouraged about making the call? Because I've done it before and it didn't work. Hey,
Mm,
why do I not want to ask for the business? Because it sounds salesy. Well,
mm-hmm,
who told you it was salesy? Isn't
mm,
that what professionals like? It's all of these. Every thought has a strategic purpose. It's either moving us towards financial freedom and the reason we do it to make a difference in the lives of the
mm,
family we serve,
mm,
or it's literally pushing us away from it.
mm.
But we've got to be proactive, and we're not victims. I love this. What's the difference between a champion and a victim? A victim doesn't have choices. A champion does.
Does. Yeah.
And that's where it's like, dude, we're not stranded. Stranded means I can't get unstuck. I can't get off the island. No, no, no. Just make a different choice. Well, how many? One. Choose to identify the thoughts that you're thinking. And
Right.
listen, I think we're all like, here's one, bro. The holidays are coming around. What usually happens in the holidays?
Oh, people nest.
Yeah,
They,
no, no, but I'm thinking about my weight. Like, oh man,
oh,
I'm always
the
gonna
weight.
gain
Yeah,
some
for
weight in the
sure.
holidays.
Yeah.
Man, I get lazy. Look, let me just tell you some of my junk. Like, it's like, dude, I get lazy in the holidays. I overeat. I'm gonna
Mm,
typically gain a little bit of weight.
mm,
Like, and is it true? No, but I mean, I've done a really good job with eating and all of that. But if you're not careful, you'll fall back into that holiday slump,
mm,
and it goes beyond just business. It goes back into the hibernation, and you kind of disconnect from
mm,
relationships. Whether it's weight, whether it's spirituality, whether it's personal development and growth, whether it's friends and family. A lot of people have broken families, and the holidays become a tougher season, or
mm,
you've got loved ones that have just passed away. My dad passed away literally this week 4 years ago.
mm.
And so, but if you're not careful, you can get that negative stuff coming back in. Instead of, we're not victims. I'm going to take control of the thoughts I think. I
Right.
don't have control of the first thought, Frank, but I do have control of what I do with it, whether I
Right.
dwell on it or whether I fight a thought with the future changing belief. Like, I love belief statements, because when I craft a belief statement, like, I'll give you one about prospecting. Oh, I don't want to sound salesy, man. I hate prospecting. No, no, no. What changed my life is whenever I started, literally my belief statement about prospecting is, Frank, I love prospecting. Did I when I first started this? No, but I do now.
Mm,
Because what I've done is I've taken a negative belief about prospecting and sales, being salesy, and I've said, hey, I love prospecting because it helps me meet people with similar vision, values, and beliefs. And
mm,
when I meet people with similar vision, values, and belief, I'm able to partner with people so that together we can make an even greater impact in the lives of the families we
mm,
serve.
mm.
That's it. And
It's
when you begin to reframe it, it's like, where I used to hate it because I believed a negative about it. Now I understand it's the greatest gift we got. We're meeting
yeah.
people every day.
It's not too difficult of a process for us.
Yeah.
It's just we have to be aware that um for example, we have the thought, well, nobody's buying,
Oh,
over the
yeah.
winter.
Yeah.
So, but when
Yeah.
we
The
think
market's
that, we need to just
slow.
stop and
Yeah.
have a conversation with, like you said, we can't control the first thought, but we can certainly control the second one,
That's
right?
right.
So,
That's right.
oh, nobody's going to buy over in November because it's Thanksgiving. No, wait a minute. What am I saying? I'm going to have a conversation with myself. No,
Yeah.
no, no, negative, Frank. That's
Yeah.
not true. You know what? A lot of people are going to buy in November. There's going to be a
Yeah.
ton of people that are going to buy in November,
Right.
actually, and I need to go find them. So
Well, the
we
question
just,
is, are they just going to use me?
yeah, I got to go find them, right?
Hey,
So
yeah, I love
it's
that.
just telling you. It's
Yeah.
just like having rebuttals with yourself all freaking
Well,
day. Is
that's what I
what?
would say. Hey,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I was thinking when you were like, nobody's going to buy in November. I'm like, based on what?
Based on what? Yeah. Why would you
Yeah,
say
based on
that? Are you telling me that nobody's ever bought a home in November?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
based on what? That's
yeah,
BS. Of course, people are going to buy homes in November.
yeah,
People are going to list their houses in November,
yeah,
right? It's just the way it is. It's
yeah.
not true.
That's
or
right. That's
yeah,
right.
so I don't feel like I want to make my calls today. Well, yes, I do. I do want to make my calls today. I want to make my calls today. Just you have to reprogram, rewire your brain, and if over a period of time it can work and it does work,
Yeah. Yeah.
So you just have to have
Hey,
this
you know what you got to do?
real
You got to
battle.
attach the action to the why and make it bigger than the
Mm,
pain.
mm,
It's like what? Hey, I don't want to make my calls. Why? Go deeper. You remember Jim
mm.
talked about
Yeah,
going
yeah,
from the fruit to the root,
yeah.
which hey, and let me just throw this out there. By the way, if you guys don't, Jim has a book. It's Unstuck and Unstoppable. It's JimKyles.com.
Yeah.
Jimn Kyles. So it's Jim with an N, Kyles.com. If you're interested in the book, go get it. And don't buy it from Amazon. He doesn't make any money if it's at Amazon. Go to his website. He deserved it. Man, he's written a book that helps us all. But he talked about this. He said going from the fruit to the root. So here's what I would challenge you, Frank. If it's like, hey, I don't want to make my calls. Hey, Frank, why don't you want to make your calls?
Mm.
Role play with me.
Because that's always met with a negative response.
Yeah, like what? So what kind of a negative response?
Well, like they're going to say that, they've got these calls a lot and they don't want to talk to me
Okay, so when they say that, why does it make you not want to call the next person?
because I don't know. I just feel like I'm going to have that happen a lot and it's going to bum me out.
Okay, and why would somebody saying no to your offer bum you out?
I don't know. Yeah, I just
Yeah,
feel like it
I
does.
mean, well,
Yeah.
and so like what you're really getting back to is it's like, well, it bumped me out. Well, really, what you're feeling, if I go from the fruit of it is I don't want to make my calls, but the
Yeah.
root of it is, you know what it is? I'm afraid that they're rejecting me.
Right.
And it's like if you keep going down most of the trails, like it's a fear of inadequacy, a fear of rejection, there is something deeper that if we'll get to that deeper, what we begin to realize is, look, when you're prospecting, they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting the
Mm,
offer.
mm,
And listen, you're being prospected all day long. You just don't recognize it. Apple's prospecting you, and you don't mind.
right.
YouTube's prospecting you. You don't mind. Like
Right.
we're so, hey, like when you just have to reframe it. Like Frank, listen to this. A bother would be if I'm trying to sell you, like, hey, you're a construction worker, and I'm trying to help your clients get mortgages. You don't even have clients that get mortgages, right? Like you don't even need it.
Right.
But we're talking about realtors uh, who cannot make a commission, Frank,
Unless
unless there is a licensed loan officer on the other
other
side of a
end.
finance
Right.
transaction.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, this isn't something they don't need. They need
Right.
it.
Right.
It's like, what? So I'm nervous about trying to work with the people that have to have what I can do.
Yeah.
So it's about all the net, it's like we just got to get to the root of it. And I just think, and I know I'm being silly, but it's that life changing when you realize every great realtor's got to have a great loan officer.
Mm.
We've got a proven plan that makes it simple, helps them close even more referrals. We get to have a fun time doing it. And heck, we're paid like kings,
Right.
to help families. And I'm scared of a little call. They're not
Mm.
rejecting me. Make
Mm-hmm.
calls.
The thing too is you think about the investment and the return, right? With
Oh
what we
yeah,
do.
yeah,
So
yeah.
my investment is I'm going to make some phone calls, right? The return is potentially $3,000 a closed transaction, or whatever you
Man,
make, right? Let's call it
man.
3,000. So the investment is I dialed a number, a real estate agent answered, I started to say, hey man, I'm just, I know you're really successful and I'm a student of success. I'd love to just have a conversation with you. The realtor says, if you
Yeah.
ever call me again, I'm going to show up and punch you right in the face, and hangs up on me. Okay. Now that investment was an investment of about 34 seconds of my life.
Right,
Okay.
right,
Did,
right,
did anything really happen? No.
right.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Did somebody, I mean, and we don't even know what's going on with the person, right? Hey, look, they could just be having a bad day.
Bad
You
day.
know what I
That's
mean?
right.
It's not
That's
that
right.
they hate your guts or anything like. We don't know
I
what's
know.
going on, but for
That's right.
34 seconds of my time, I can move on to the next call,
Mhm.
right? And maybe I'm gonna, and not maybe, guaranteed. If you make enough calls today, you're gonna find a handful. They're gonna go, oh, you're so kind. Sure, let's get together, right?
Hey, listen, here's the math.
You know?
You make 100 outbound calls.
Yeah,
You're going to talk to 25 to 30 of them,
yeah.
and you're going to book 5 to 8 depending on how many calls and
There you
how the
go.
day hits.
Okay.
And so it goes back to like, hey, and here's what's mind blowing. Think about this. If I want to fund 6 transactions a month, all I need are 12 relationships of qualified agents to
Right.
get 24 relational leads. And at 6 fundings, I'm making $20,000 a month,
There you go.
$240,000 a year.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you've got a $20,000 a month problem, and it can be solved by simply knowing who to call, how to say it, what days of the week, and doing
Hmm.
the activity
Hmm.
long enough to get the result.
Right.
And I
And
hate to
under
break it down that simple, but it is that
it is
simple.
that simple. And understand, I'm gonna call 100, right?
Yeah,
And
while you're
so
ramping up a
so
business, you're
like
going to have to call a
75 of
lot.
them are either not going to answer or tell me to buzz off,
Yeah,
right? That's just part of the process, right? That I'm going to get 25 to 30 to say yes, and so on, right? So it's just an
yeah,
investment of time. That's really all it
it
is.
is. Yeah, and it's life
And just
changing.
having some conversation. But you know what? It's important. You got to start with the right list, though. You got to call the agents that are,
Yeah,
doing some business. That's where you got to start. And that's where you need a big list.
yeah,
But anyway, we could go on and on and on. I just, I'm glad you kind of helped us unpack the whole mindset thing and have a little bit more clarity on that.
oh
I would
yeah.
encourage you guys. Well, if you're watching us
We'll
on
drop
Move
it
To,
in
we'll
the
have the link
YouTube.
to
Yeah,
Jim's book in there, to
yeah.
Jim's website where you can buy his book, Unstuck and Unstoppable. It's really, really phenomenal. If you're listening to us on iTunes or whatever, it's just go to his website. It's Jimn Kyles. He spells it Jimn.
Yeah, yeah.
JIMNKYLES.com, JimKyles.com, so we can get his book. Also, I'd just like to encourage anybody who's watching or listening, man, I'd love to shoot the breeze with you, man. I'd love to shoot. If you feel like, hey, man, I need to get past this, or I need a little help, talk to me about this again. You want to schedule 15 minutes with me. I'd love to chat with you.
Yeah.
You can just hit me up at frankcall.com. Frankcall.com. Schedule 15 minutes. We'll shoot the breeze and we'll see what we can do to help. Right? We'll see what we can do to help. So, all right, Steve, man. Thanks,
Love it,
man. Really
brother.
appreciate you as always.
Appreciate you, man.
All
Hey,
right.
thank you, everybody. See you.
Adios. Bye.